Hello, my friends, and welcome to our first lecture on the Mobile Application Testing Certificate provided by OneRun Academy. So, after the introduction, I believe you now understand what our journey will look like. Each topic will be covered by a lecture, followed by a quiz, and finally an exam sample question to further solidify what we have learned. Great! I feel excitement in the air, so let's waste no time and let's start with the first topic, mobile analytics data. Alright, so there are many stakeholders in the mobile application world. The term stakeholders in the context of mobile app development, and if you still remember from the foundation level, refers to any person, entity, or party interested in the development, testing, distribution, or even profiting from the mobile application industry. As we mentioned in the introduction, around 1.1 trillion was invested last year in the mobile application industry, so we are talking serious business here. So let's see what are the stakeholders who are interested in the mobile applications. It's obvious that there are quite a list of stakeholders who are involved directly or even indirectly in the mobile application industry. Let's start with the device manufacturers, and I think this one is pretty much self-explanatory. Device manufacturers design, make, market, and maintain the mobile devices we use every day. Examples are Apple, which makes the iPhones, Google, Samsung, Xiaomi, Oppo, Nokia, and the list can go on forever. Another stakeholder in the mobile application industry is the operating system providers. These operating systems are used by billions of users every day. For now, there are two main OS providers, Apple and Google. Examples of operating systems are iOS, Android, watchOS, and so on. Now, platform providers are another example of stakeholders involved in the mobile application industry. Platforms stand for a broader suite of services usually directed to developers and testers. Platforms include app stores on which apps are uploaded and made available for public download. Platforms also include development kits such as SDKs, IDEs, and APIs. Developers and testers are the backbone of the mobile application world. They are the ones responsible for building and verifying mobile applications that add value to the end user. Tool providers are third parties who contribute to the mobile industry by providing services and logistics. We can think of collaborative tool providers such as GitHub, development tool providers such as Eclipse, test tool providers such as TestFairy, and back-end storage providers such as Firebase. Lastly, we have market data providers. They provide market analytics to all the previous entities, so they can make informed decisions based on facts and statistics. So let's see what kind of data we can get from market data providers. So we can get the device type distribution globally or per specific country or region. Also, we can get data related to the distribution of operating systems across different regions. Not only that, but we can get the number of app downloads per platform, plus we can also understand the aspects of devices such as their screen sizes, 4G or 5G connectivity, input methods, and much more. But how we can benefit from such data? Actually, a lot. You see, having such big data can help every stakeholder in his specialization. So on a high level, having this information about device distribution, OS distribution, and app download can direct money and investments in certain directions. For instance, If a device manufacturer has released a low-end device with a low price, understanding which parts of the world have low purchasing power can help direct ads and release campaigns toward these parts of the world. On the low-level side, these data also play a vital role. So teams use these data in test analysis and design to understand the target market and fine-tune their SDLC accordingly. As we already know, exhaustive testing is impossible. This means we cannot test everything. This applies also to choosing the test devices. In simple terms, we cannot test our app on every device out there. For instance, if we are developing an application directed toward the Nordic market, using data analytics, we can find that this society is highly adopting iPhones over Android phones. This means that when we design our test strategy, we must be focusing on testing our app on various iPhone devices of different chips, different screen sizes, etc., compared to maybe just a few or even just one Android phone. Another reason why mobile analytics data are important is that nowadays there are a lot of input methods that affect how users can interact with their mobile devices. So, some mobile devices have heart rate sensors that can measure heart rate and oxygen saturation. Using mobile analytics to understand how many devices support this feature is super important in case our app is going to utilize such sensors. The same concept can be applied to smartphones having PIN inputs. This PIN input does not only aid in handwriting and screen navigation, but also is used to perform different gestures and other shortcuts. Other devices have physical keyboards, others have iris scanners, and so on. So I think you get the point here. Now we understand the importance of such mobile analytics data, a question arises. From where we can get such priceless data? Fortunately, there are a lot of resources we can rely on. First, we have the regular reports released by the manufacturers or OS vendors themselves. So you probably heard or read somewhere about the annual or quarterly reports released by Samsung or Apple, for example. They state how many devices they have sold, which models they have sold the most, and where are the sales distributed. Another resource we can rely on to get these data is the third-party data providers. Now, there are several providers out there. Some services are paid ones, such as Adobe Analytics, Amplitude, and much more. And although these paid services provide excellent data analysis and research capabilities, there are also good free and open source ones. The most recognized is StatCounter Global Stats. This market analytics data provider has many features such as the OS market share, device vendor market share, mobile versus tablet versus desktop, and you know what? Why don't we take a look ourselves? Alright then, so open your favorite browser and go to gs.statcounter.com. I'll be putting the link to this website in the resource section. Anyway, when you first open the main page, it defaults to previewing the Universal Browser Market Share. This is very useful as we can see that globally, the Chrome browser is the dominant browser used by most of the users around the globe. Hence, we can use this fact to make sure that our web applications, also known as websites, run perfectly on Chrome browsers, not necessarily on PCs only, but even on mobile devices. Now, if we scroll down, we can see a glimpse of the various analytics data we can get our hands on. For instance, let's take a look at the device vendor market share. Upon clicking on it, we can see that Apple is dominating the industry. This is global, of course. However, if we go deeper and inspect the analytics related to some specific regions, let's take a look at something like India, the situation dramatically changes. You can see that Apple is almost non-existent, with brands like Xiaomi, Vivo, and Samsung dominating the scene with a collective share of more than 50%, while Apple sits down with less than 4% market share. Hence, designing a test device portfolio in such a market necessitates the inclusion of a lot of Android devices and minimal need for iOS devices. So the same can be replicated for OS market share or any other stat available on this website. Extremely useful, and you should always use it before choosing the test device portfolio for your project. Try to play around and look for other analytics data you can find. You can see things like social media stats, screen resolution stats, and much more. Alright, my friends, I think this wraps things up for this lecture. We have seen some examples of different stakeholders of the mobile world industry, how they use analytics data to help decision making, and how can these data help us software testers in our projects. So what's next? I think we should stick to our plan, and we will take a quiz followed by solving an exam sample question. So be ready and feel free to watch this lecture again if you feel so. Best of luck.